Welcome to Ashland's 2023 deliberative session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The people to my right are your Board of Selectmen and the town manager. The town attorney is supposed to be here, running late, I guess. Sandra Coleman is my assistant moderator. She's not here yet. And a few reminders for everyone. Please, everyone, silence your cell phones. When anyone wishes to speak or ask a question, please raise your hand to be recognized by myself, the moderator. Can you hear me back there okay? You can't hear it?
It's not great.
It's not? Okay. When you go to the microphone, please state your name. Is that better? A little bit better? Close to my, but then it does that then. Remember, this is your business meeting to review the different budgets and several warrant articles prior to our March town election. It's your opportunity to ask questions or make amendments to articles. There's the voter's guide in the back to assist you in following along today. There's also several other informational documents that will help you in voting in March. I will begin. Article 1 is a list of the various people that are running for various positions. 3-year term, vote for not more than 2. Anne Marie Barney and Charles Brizzello are running. Town treasurer, 3-year term, Linda Guyette is running. Town trustee of the trust funds, 3-year term, Amanda Drew Loud is running. Library trustee, 3-year term, David Rule is running. Budget committee, 3-year term, Jamie Lyford is running. Cemetery trustee, 3-year term, there's one position, no one is running. You can always do a write-in. Cemetery trustee, 1-year term, write-in. And a write-in is always accepted for any of the positions. Okay, now I will. Several of these warrant articles are like 2.5 to 3 pages long. I'm going to entertain a motion to waive the word-for-word reading of the warrant articles. So moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor of me, and what I will read, I'll read the article number, the subject matter, the tax impact, and the way the budget committee as well as the Board of Selectmen voted.
Is that for all of them or just these lengthy ones?
It's for all of them.
All the articles?
Yes.
So you're not going to read any of the articles?
Well, no, I said I'm going to read what I can, but I am going to read the articles. But the zoning article goes on 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages. I'm not reading the entire
Just
thing.
the zoning one?
Pretty much the zoning, and if there's a super lengthy one, yes.
Well, you got people watching it, and that should be read. Not the zoning one. I agree with the zoning one, but the rest of them you should be reading because we got people, it's being filmed. And if they don't have a piece of paper in front of them, they have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, Ron.
Okay, I guess I'll amend, you want to amend the motion to only refer to the zoning?
Yes.
Okay, and whoever seconded? Okay. An amended motion is that I'll waive the reading of the zoning article. All those in favor? Please raise your card. And those, all those opposed? Okay. It passed. Article 2. Right. The following changes proposed by the Ashland Planning Board to Article 4.10 flood hazard area of the Ashland zoning ordinance will ensure that Ashland has compliant regulations to remain eligible to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. Along with the indicated additions and deletions of text, the numbering or lettering system of sections and subsections of Article 4.10 will be corrected to be consistent throughout the article. This will not change any other text. Does anybody have any questions on the flood? Can you go to the mic, please?
Good morning, Joe Mazzoni. So I'm curious as to what the base flood elevation number.
Can you go up to the low bit?
It's not on.
It's not on.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, yeah.
No.
That could be a blessing. Okay. What I'm interested in is what is the base flood elevation? What is the actual number? I believe it's 52 and a half. Okay. Right.
Okay, I'm gonna have to have someone with the zone, I'm not equipped to answer that. I'll have someone from the zoning. Is there someone with zoning that would like to address that?
Okay. Thank you.
Martine?
I'm Martine Batcher, Chair of the Planning Board. We do not have a figure at this point for the base flood elevation. That will be determined by by FEMA, and they're in the process of re-examining floodplain maps. So it's a matter of just a definition. They will be using that definition going forward instead of a particular number.
Okay,
And when we have a number, we'll let people know.
okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Mayor?
Certainly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on zoning? On Article 2, I should say. I see no questions, so that will appear on the warrant as presented. Article 3, estimated taxing cap, $12.15. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations, voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes as set forth therein, totaling $3,133,907. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $3,092,153, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Ashland or by law, or by governing body may hold one special meeting. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 5-1. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Does anybody, I'm assuming this one's the town budget. It didn't say town, but this is the town budget, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it didn't say town operating budget. Does anybody have any questions or concerns on Article 3?
I
Okay.
Can the Board of Selectmen explain what the difference is between what will not happen if the budget doesn't pass and it goes default?
Well, thank you. If the budget is not passed, all of the articles that you see in the current warrant articles will not be available to be done. So the things that need to be done for the town will not be able to be done, and you will go back to the default budget, and we don't move forward.
My question is, there's a difference between, I don't know, $90,000 or whatever the difference is between default and what you're asking for. What's in that $90,000 that will not happen if it goes default?
Okay, so some of that money is going to be the roads and bridges account. The cost of salt this year is increased, and the cost of asphalt is increased. That's just part of what's going on in that part of the budget. Marissa, what else do we have that's been extended? Most of the increases you see here in this budget are due to economic reasons and things that we always buy, and the cost has gone up. And you'll hear the same thing from the school department on their budget. I don't have the piece by piece of every single item, but over the entire budget, there are increases, small increases, because of the cost of buying the materials.
Thank you, Bob. That's exactly what we needed to know.
Okay, David, did you want to mention something?
You gotta speak up or use the microphone.
They don't have that piece of paper.
Okay. Oh, they don't?
No, they don't.
Then I'm good.
But the warrant article,
The warrant, this has got nothing to do with warrant.
well, he said the warrant article.
I know.
Okay, let's, Alice, you had your hand up. Did you have a question?
No.
You got answered. Any other questions? All right, thank you for the answers. The article will appear on the ballot as presented and read. You don't vote on it, you vote in March. No, if there's any questions. You vote in March. Only if there's an amendment. You only vote if there's an amendment. I didn't believe I heard an amendment.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, Article 4. I'll get in the swing here. Should the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate as the Ashland Electric Department operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant as amended by vote of the first session, for the purposes set forth totaling $3,440,794. Should this article be defeated, the fall budget shall be $3,259,185, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Ashland. I'm not going to read all the RSAs involved. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 6-0. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Does anybody have any questions on the electric department budget?
I have a question.
Amanda, can you go to the microphone, please?
Hi, my name's Amanda Loud. I have a question about the electric department. Are we fully staffed?
Moderator, to answer the question, no, we are not fully staffed. We are in the process of hiring, and if the union contract does not pass later in this warrant, then you won't have an electric department because we won't have any employees.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, what are you looking to hire?
We're looking to hire linemen.
How many?
We need 3 linemen and one groundman so that we can operate our equipment together. You need to have at least 2 linemen up when you're operating individual lines, so you can maneuver them from both ends. So we have 2 at the current time. We need a 3rd.
And so you're looking to hire just one position, a third lineman?
One position for a lineman. We need to have 1 position for a groundman.
So you're hiring 2 positions?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And that answered your question, Amanda. Okay, seeing no amendments, this article will appear as presented. Article 5, no tax impact. Shall Ashland vote to raise and appropriate as the Ashland Water Department budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $375,325. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $369,000, which is the same, $369,531, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Ashland or by law. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0. Any questions? Okay, Article 5 will appear on the ballot as presented. Article 6, no tax impact. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate as the Ashland Sewer Department operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant article and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget passed with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for purposes set forth therein, totaling $838,476. Should this article be defeated, the budget shall be $832,827, which is the same as last year's with certain adjustment. And the majority vote is required, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-1, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 4-0-1. Any questions on this article? Can you go to the microphone so everybody can hear you?
I could yell. I just have a question. What are all these certain adjustments required? Is there in every article? And I realize I don't know what that means. Does somebody?
I believe the adjustments are, I'm not positive, but for instance, in different departments, if there were warrant articles the year before relating to the departments, I could be wrong.
Madam Moderator, I realize that the language may be confusing to some, but the statute requires that we place that word in there. And if you'll notice, there is a difference between the request for appropriation and the amount for the default budget. That's the result of things that happen in accordance with state law. Things that we did last year may not necessarily be done in the next year. And so there's an adjustment. There are contracts, there are things of that nature which we have to adjust into the budget that are legally required for the town to do. So you're going to have a difference in every single year. Now, my experience has been after 61 years doing this, that in some cases you're going to look at that and you're going to say, well, gee, the main budget's less than the default budget. And that can happen. I believe it's happened here before as well. So it's a look at every single line item in the budget, what the impact was, whether or not there are contracts required by it, or whether or not there are things required by the state legislature dealing with those particular items. So, I mean, we could go through every single line item in the budget if you want, but that's the way to find out what the differences are. And they're not very big. They're sometimes very small, as little as $1 or so. But the contracts are the ones that basically push us in that direction.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Article 7 has been amended. No tax impact. Correct? This is the amended one. It was rewritten. No tax impact. Shall the town of Ashland vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Ashland Board of Selectmen and the SEIU Local 984 Union, which calls for the following increase in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. And the figures I'm going to read across from the various years will be the estimated increase over the previous year level. 2023, 39 weeks, April 1 through December 31, $73,747. 2024, 52 weeks, $28,468. 2025, 52 weeks, $24,138. 2026, 13 weeks, $8,469. And further to raise and appropriate $73,747 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Said sum to come from the general fund unassigned fund balance, $66,643. And further to fund the balance of the appropriation in the amount of $4,022 from the electric, $1,541 from water income, and $1,541 from sewer income, with no funds to be raised from property taxes. This was recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-1. Does anyone have any comments, questions on this?
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead, you can go first.
Has the select board looked in any way at joining the New Hampshire Electric Co-op? And what the price would be for that versus putting the money into the Ashland Electric Company?
I don't know if I understand your question, but I don't think that's relevant to this.
Well, we're having to pay all of this money that's going on electric bills or coming from other funds for this, and I'm just wondering if the select board has looked into joining the New Hampshire Electric Co-op and what the cost would that be? Because obviously it has no broad property tax impact, but it does have money that's going on the tax bills of those of us that have New Hampshire Electric, if I understand that correct.
Okay, I'm going to refer to Mr. Attorney.
I can, Mr. Chairman, with the moderator's permission. If we were to go with the electric co-op, the first thing that would happen is your rates would go up because their rates are higher than ours. That's something we're trying to avoid. We are currently, our current rate runs for another year and a half, another year and 3/4, and we are currently looking to Vermont Public Power, where we buy our current electricity for hydro systems, to in fact give us a new contract for about the same amount of money as we're paying now. You've seen what's going on with all the electric utilities in the state and the amount of money that's being raised. I'm with the co-op. My bill went from $110 a month to $160 some a month with the increase in the rates. It's a matter of where they buy the power from and how you buy it. Because we're municipal, we're able to get federal power subsidies and we're able to get special subsidies.
Thank you very much.
And to talk to the article itself, I just wanted to say that the Board of Selectmen committee who worked on this contract negotiations did yeoman's work. Mr. Alan Sully, Mr. Andy Finch, Ms. Rebecca Hartley were the members of the committee that spent the last 3 months, 4 months, negotiating with the union contract to get this contract passed. If we didn't get this passed, we wouldn't be able to hire anybody. Our rates of payment was so low that other towns were stealing all our police officers, firefighters, and other people that were working for us. This was an effort to keep our people and to pay them in real time, what they're worth. Thank you.
Thank you. Did that address your question?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no amendments and no new questions, Article 7 will appear on the warrant as written. Article 8. Shall the town of Ashland, if Article 7 is defeated, authorize the governing body to call a special meeting at its option to address article cost items only, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing no questions, Article 8 will appear on the warrant as written. Article 9, no tax impact. Shall the town of Ashland vote to establish a contingency fund, for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise and appropriate $25,000 to be deposited into the fund. The sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from taxation. Any appropriation left in the contingency fund at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Select 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 5-1. Any questions? See any hands? Article 9 will appear on the ballot as written. Okay. Article 10. Shall the town of Ashland vote to adopt the provisions of RSA 72:28, optional veterans tax credit? If adopted, the credit will apply to every resident of this state who is and person who is, resident and person who is a veteran as defined in RSA 21:50 and served not less than 90 days on active service in the armed forces of the United States in any qualifying war or armed conflict listed in this section, and continues to serve or was honorably discharged, or an officer who continues to serve or was provided that training for active duty by a member of the National Guard or Reserve shall be included as service under this subparagraph. B, every resident of this state who was terminated from the armed forces because of service-connected disability, or the surviving spouse of such resident. And C, the surviving spouse of any resident who suffered a service-connected death. If adopted, the credit granted will be $250, which is the amount adopted by the town in 2007. This article, this is a notation. This article is required to be readopted because the legislature expanded the eligibility criteria for this credit to include individuals who have not yet been discharged from service in the armed forces. Recommended by the Board of Selection 4-1. Any questions? Seeing none, Article 10 will appear as presented.
Yeah, the vote on that was actually 4-0-1. The one was an abstaining vote because of conflict, because one of our members is a veteran.
Thank you. Article 11. Shall the town of Ashland vote to adopt the provision? Is this? Article 11. Shall the town of Ashland vote to adopt the provisions of RSA 72:28B? This appears to be the same. It's not? Okay. all veterans tax credit. If adopted, the credit will be available to any resident who is a veteran as defined in RSA 2150 and served not less than 90 days on active service in the armed forces of the United States and continues to serve or was honorably discharged, or an officer who continues to serve or was honorably separated from service, or the spouse or surviving spouse of such resident, providing that training for active duty or state active duty by a member of the National Guard or Reserve shall be included as service under this paragraph, provided, however, that the person is not eligible for and is not receiving a credit under RSA 7229 or RSA 7235. If adopted, the credit granted will be $250, the same amount as the optional veterans tax credit voted by the town under RSA 7228. Note, this article is required because the legislature is expanding the eligibility criteria for this credit to include individuals who have not yet been discharged from service in the armed forces. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 4-1, and I assume the 0 is an abstention.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? David?
I'm Dave Toth. Will veterans who have already filed for this have to refile? Okay, thank you.
Oh, I shook my head no.
So will they have to refile or no? The answer is no. Okay. Article 11 will appear on the warrant as read. Article 12, tax impact 66 cents. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $275,000 for the purchase of a new fire department ambulance to replace the current ambulance that was purchased in 1998. Said appropriation to be funded by the withdrawal of $105,000 from the 2013 Fire Department Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of repairing or replacing fire department vehicles, and the balance to come from taxation. Board of Selectmen recommended this 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Chief Heath, did you want to speak to this?
I'm Steve Heath, I am the fire chief. As the article says, it was purchased in 1998, and it has served us very well, but it's tired. It doesn't owe us a thing. It was the first ambulance that this town owned. As time has gone on, our call volume has increased drastically. We're transporting more frequently, which raises concerns regarding patient and personnel safety in something that old. When we do have mechanical issues with it, the parts are harder to come by, so its downtime is a little bit longer. We had electrical issues, electronics. We have a lot of devices on the ambulance that are charging constantly, so we've had some issues with that. So I urge your support for this. It is time to move on. It's time to get a new ambulance.
Fran Newton, I fully support this article. I just have one question for Chief Heath. How quickly will we get the new ambulance if this is passed?
It's dependent on manufacturers that you talk with. Some will say out to 2 years. Others will say less than that. And there's also the option, some spoken with a number of manufacturers who have ordered ahead of time, and they're going to have stock models that they had intended to use as demos, and they may be available. So the market is really in a lot of turmoil right now, so I can't give you a solid answer for the exact delivery date.
Okay. Any other comments? And I showed that the building, and this is a pass out over there of all our capital reserve fund balances. Fire department now to purchase vehicle has $149,000 in their capital reserve. according to this. Okay, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, Article 12 will appear on the ballot as read. Article 13, Fire Department Capital Reserve Fund. No, this is, these seem repetitive. The new one?
We put
Okay,
this
this is
in
it.
every year.
All right, Fire Department Capital Reserve Fund, estimated tax impact 10 cents. Should the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the Fire Department Capital Reserve Fund, established in 2013 for the purpose of repairing or purchasing fire department vehicles. Board of Selectmen recommended 5-0 and recommended by budget 6-0. Chief?
As the moderator noted on the previous article, the amount that we currently have in capital reserve, in that article, in writing it, I did not try to deplete that. It takes such a long time to get it, to accumulate it to a level where, you know, we can actually go out and make the purchase. So this amount would go into that account, and if that explains it for you or not.
Okay, does that answer questions? Article 13 will appear on the warrant as presented. Article 14, Police Department Capital Reserve Fund, estimated tax impact 10 cents. Shall the town of Ashland raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be deposited into the Police Department Capital Reserve Fund, established in 2013 for the purpose of repairing and purchasing police department vehicles. It's recommended by the Board of Select 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Any questions? Seeing no questions, Article 14 will appear on the warrant as read. Article 15, Police Department Revolving Fund. Shall the town of Ashland vote to establish a Police Department Revolving Fund in accordance with New Hampshire Revised Statutes annotated Chapter 31:95H, parentheses C, into which will be deposited fees, charges, or other income derived from public safety services by municipal police employees or volunteers outside of the ordinary details of such persons, including but not limited to public safety services in connection with special events, highway construction, and other construction projects. Money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. The funds deposited in the fund may only be utilized for the purchase of police department vehicles and equipment utilized on or in such vehicles. The town treasurer shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order from the Board of Selectmen, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose for which the fund was created. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0. Any questions? Okay.
How much money would we expect in a year's time? Just to,
Like the
Chief?
last year, how much was it?
Yeah, so that's a really hard question to answer.
Well, like the
So,
last year, how much?
I don't know how many details we had last year at the top of my head, because what happens is that these, to sum up what this article actually means, to make it kind of easy to understand. When we do details for town, say a construction detail, we bill out so much money to the construction company. They pay an administrative fee on top of what the officer makes. So that administrative fee would go into this revolving fund, and then we could use it to help fund parts for cruisers and light sirens, that kind of stuff. So there's no impact to the town taxation, but it allows us down the road to be able to buy stuff that won't hospitality. It's going to be basically construction companies and things like that, electric companies. Right now we have Eversource running big wires everywhere, so we've been doing some details here. they'll be paying for this stuff in the long run. How much do we get last year? It changes from year to year depending upon what we have. I couldn't put a number on it right now to tell you exactly how much we get per year, but it's probably gonna total up to, call it a couple $100 a year. So it'll take us some time to be able to use it, but it's something that we can use over time where we wouldn't have it. So it's something that the town would have to pay for if we didn't do this. So it's a way to just kind of save the taxpayers some money here and there, even though it's not going to be a lot. There are other towns that can fund all of their cruisers this way because they have a lot of details. We just don't have the details to cover that. But it is money that is covered by another corporation, agency, whatever it may be, and there's no money coming from the town for the finances for the building.
Thank you, thank you. Amanda?
So where did the fee portion go before this fund is created? Because they're paying for the police officers to work plus an administrative fee.
Yes.
Where does that fee go right now?
General fund.
To the general fund? Oh, okay, so you're just kind of rearranging money in a fund basket. Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Article 15 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 16. This is a petitioned warrant article. This is the beginning of our petitioned warrant articles. Estimated tax payment, tax impact, 6 cents. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be deposited in the Ashland Library Capital Reserve Fund established in 2015 for the purpose of purchasing, building, and/or renovating a facility, including furnishing and equipment for the Ashland Town Library. Should be an intern. Board of Selectmen 5-0, Budget Committee 6-0. Alice, do you want to address this?
Good morning. This is our typical adding to our capital reserve for what will certainly be needed purchasing, building, or renovating a facility, including furnishing and equipment for the Ashland Town Library in the future.
Okay.
Alice, how much is in that capital reserve right now? Do you have that?
$162,003.46.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this article? Yes? Can you go so that everybody can hear you?
I think other years we've done 25,000 for the library, and I wonder why this year it's only 15,000.
I can answer that.
Well, it's a petition warrant article, okay, all right.
So what happened is, we did not realize that the town was going to automatically do a warrant article for the 25,000 that we've asked for in the past. So we decided to ask for 15 this year to be a little fiscally responsible, and we did a petition warrant article. So we felt we wanted to go ahead with the petition warrant article to honor all the people that signed our petition.
Okay. Okay, does that answer your question, Mary?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right. Yeah, can you go to the microphone?
Yeah, my name is Linda Barnes. So what I'm a little confused about is we have the old library building and then the potential new one. Is this money, which building is this money going to? And do we have a sense of how much it would cost to do all the repairs and all of the modifications if this new building goes through? Because I know there's, and we may be coming back to this, if so I'll wait, but, you know, there's a number listed as far as toward potential purchase. I feel very unclear about all the other costs. And, you know, is this money going to cover all of those in the capital fund? Is there other projected money? And I'm not clear about how all of it's being laid out and at what point is the town going to be beginning to tap?
Okay, those are several questions, and a lot of it's going to be addressed a little bit later, I believe. But Alice, if you want to say where this 15,000 is going to.
So the way the warrant is worded means this is if we purchase a new building, if we need to build a new building, if we need to renovate a facility, our capital reserve fund will be used for any of those things.
Okay.
Last year, we gave you figures on what it would cost to renovate our current building on Pleasant Street. Anyway, and well in excess of the $162,000 that we have now in the capital reserve fund. It would cost at least $1 million to renovate our current building. As you know, the building that we're hoping to purchase with donated funds, we would not need to expend any town money for the purchase of the building. Yes, there would be some renovations to the building.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you because I think a lot of this is going to be covered with several other library warrants. So does that answer somewhat your question? Okay, because I know there's several more library warrants. No amendments, okay. Article 16 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 17, Public Works Capital Reserve Fund estimated tax impact 10 cents. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be deposited into the Department of Public Works Capital Reserve Fund established in 2016 for the purchase of vehicles or equipment, replacement or repairs. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 6-0. Any questions on this? Seeing no hands, this Article 17 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 18, Road and Bridge Capital Reserve Fund, estimated tax impact 48 cents. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $125,000 to be deposited into the Road and Bridges Capital Reserve account established in 2013? Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 6-0. Any questions? See no hands. Article 18 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 19. Building Maintenance and Repair Capital Fund estimated tax impact 4 cents. Shall the town of Ashland vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Building Maintenance and Repair Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of maintaining and repairing all town buildings? Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 5-1. Any questions on this article? Seeing no questions, Article 19 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 20, Waste to Energy Facility. No tax impact. Shall the town of Ashland vote to instruct the Board of Selectmen to investigate the construction of a waste to energy facility? The electricity generator will be used to power the town's municipal lighting plant for the benefit of Ashland residents and property owners. No materials entering or leaving the facility will be landfilled or disposed of within the town of Ashland, but disposed of at a licensed waste disposal facility. Mandatory recycling will be required for those utilizing the facility. Excess power produced will be sold on the power grid through ISO New England. Revenues generated in excess of operations costs, bond repayments, and other expenses will be used to reduce the municipal tax rate. Once the facility is constructed, it will be a department of the town under the Board of Selectmen and subject to appropriations by town meeting as a no tax impact department. The Board of Selectmen is authorized to apply for, contract for, obtain, accept, and expend any federal, state, or other available aid or funds toward the project in accordance with the terms and conditions under which they are received, to conduct any feasibility studies, to determine if the facility can be constructed within the town without impacting municipal taxes for such studies and determinations. Town of Ashland Municipal Lighting Plant and Department may conduct feasibility studies concerning siting, construction, licensing, and feasibility of such a plant to produce electrical power for the department. The Board of Selectmen shall report to the 2024 annual town meeting with appropriate warrant articles concerning the proposal to construction and all operations of such a plant, including all appropriate financial considerations for the town to consider if the proposal is to move forward. This is recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0. Any questions?
What exactly does it mean?
I mean, everybody here understands it, but what is it, what's going to change?
In the audience?
Is this basically going to be an incinerator? Is that what you're talking about, building? Like we have in both?
It's not going to be like that at all. There are new technologies involved in this, but this whole thing is just allowing the Board of Selectmen and the town managers to investigate. Nothing can happen until we come back to the town and tell them what we found and what we're proposing. So this is just a preliminary study, and we're asking for your permission to do that study to find out if it's feasible, and if it is feasible, as we all know, the future is, this impacts two things into the future. One, trash. Trash is a major problem. We know that the trash right now is being hauled up to the northern part of the state. That place is going to close down in the next 3 or 4 years. Then where you go with the trash, we have to move it someplace, and the closest place is going to be out in New York somewhere, and that means more money for the town to haul our trash out of town. This is an opportunity for the town to begin to look forward and see how we can handle solid waste and turn it into electricity to help the town. And this also would provide an opportunity for the local communities around us to bring that trash here to be burned and generate electricity and pay for their removal. It won't cost the town money. So this is looking forward. We're going to be doing a lot of studying on this. This is something that'll probably take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to just get off the ground. There's federal licensing that's involved, there's state licensing involved. It's complex, but it is worth the study. It's worth looking at. It's the future.
Oh, I understand all of that. What I'm asking is that, is it going to be a incinerator? So basically, you just said that you're going to be burning waste in order to create electricity. So it is an incinerator.
Well, yes, it's going to be some sort of burning facility, but there's new technologies involved in that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
So it says there's no tax impact and that you're going to be going after federal funds and grants for this. What kind of funds are available? Is there going to be the money? Is there the money available to the town? Do we qualify for it, et cetera, so that it will not have, we won't be back here next year talking about a tax impact to continue the study? I just don't know.
This is what the study is all about.
To find out if there's money
find out
to
that
have a study.
information,
Okay.
see what's available, what the impact is.
That answered my question.
That answered your question.
Okay, one more question. If the town votes no to this article, does that mean, why is it you're asking us to say yes or no? I guess that, I have a question, because you do go searching other things and everything like that. Why is it that this particular item had to come before the town?
This is a big project, and we should ask the town if they're interested in doing this and looking into it. We should not just go ahead. It's not like you're going to buy a new cruiser or a new fire truck. This is a huge project, and this is going to cost a lot of money. And so we need to find out what it's going to cost, what kind of impact it has, whether or not we even qualify for it, and where the grants are and how much those grants are. It's going to be a lot of process, and we don't want to invest all that time unless you're interested. So we're asking the town to vote on it, and give us permission to look forward.
Thank you. Kathleen?
Kathleen DeWolf, where's the planned site?
That will also be part of this study and this plan. Everything has to be studied, and you have to find out what requirements would be and where it could be. Our guess is if it went anywhere, we're down somewhere near where the sewer plant is now.
Okay, that you realize there are overlay districts in town that would probably preclude any sort of facility in that area.
Well, again, it's part of the study. It's part of finding out.
No, it's already in our ordinance.
Yeah. And those can be changed if they have to be.
Through a lengthy process.
And so would be the study.
So right now, you're saying, because it has to be on town property, that it'll probably be sited somewhere between the septic lagoons and the cell tower?
Well, it would have to be somewhere where we could put the power into our grid.
Okay.
So obviously, it's going to be something like that. And I can't give you direct answers for this because we haven't studied it yet.
Well, I think it's important that the town knows where this might be sited.
Again, we're not going to move forward unless we get your permission. And with this study, we'll come back and tell you what we found and then ask what we have to do.
Okay, I'm just a little confused that you're proposing a facility yet can't say where the proposed site might be.
Okay, Tony?
My name is Anthony Randall. I look at this warrant article, and I think this is good forward-thinking for the town of Ashland. I think people don't understand that this is just to start looking at it. There's no final decisions being made. I think it's great that they came to the people to explain this to us. I think it's a great thing that if something does happen, we, the people, will be able to decide on whether we want to move forward with it. There's no answers to any of these questions right now. They're just asking us if we want to vote to go ahead and look at that option. And I think it's a great option. I think we'd be foolish as a town if we didn't look at the option. Doesn't say we have to move forward with it, but at least let's look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move on to the microphone.
Michael Soriani. My only question really concerns the study itself. So is that being done by the select board, or are you going to have to hire outside consultants, and then who would be paying for those consultants, et cetera, where there may be a tax impact, if you will, to conduct that study? In other words, to get engineering consultants, whatever it is, so that you could propose later at some point, it's going to cost X amount, and this is what.
And thank you for that question, and that's a very good point. There's no money involved in this particular warrant article. The study will be done by our departments and by the Board of Selectmen and the town manager. And it's not gonna be an engineering study. If we do anything that costs money, we'll be coming back to you. There's no money involved, there's no money appropriated for this.
Okay, does that answer everybody's question? Thank you for everybody's input. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Bonnie Bethune, Owlbrook Road. Did any private company approach the town, or is this just something the town is taking on their own?
No, this is an effort by the Board of Selectmen looking into the future with problems we know that are facing us. Two problems. One, cost of electricity. Second problem, trash. What do we do with it when they close down these plants, and how's that going to impact the town, and what cost that's going to be? So we have to look at all of this. And we have an advantage because we own our own electric light company. It opens a lot of doors for us. Other people could put in one of these plants, but where would they put the power? It's an idea to move into the future. It's nothing positive, but we're going to look at it and come back to you and ask you and tell you what we found and ask you for permission to go forward.
I appreciate
Does
all
that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate all the questions that have been asked on this. I was afraid it was just going to kind of go by quickly. I work in recycling for 40 years, work with the town with their materials coming out of the recycling center. This is a huge problem with where is our landfill, our trash going to go over the next few years, as you pointed out. We already have material going from New Hampshire by rail to Ohio, Pennsylvania. That makes no sense. So I kind of see the town as, in exploring this, you know, kind of being in charge of your own destiny as far as recycling and solid waste. So good for you. I hope, I'd like to help with that effort. I will reach out. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and your input. Article 20 will appear on the ballot as written and discussed. Article 21, electronic broadband infrastructure, no tax impact. Shall the town of Ashland vote to instruct the Board of Selectmen to investigate the construction and operation of so-called, in quotes, broadband infrastructure for use by residents and businesses within the town of Ashland. The Board of Selectmen shall report back to the 2024 annual town meeting concerning its investigation, together with any recommendations for the operation, licensing, ownership, tax impacts, and other information, together with appropriate warrant articles for town meeting action, recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0. Any questions?
Again, this is another effort by the Board of Selectmen to move us into the future. There is some grant monies available, and there's going to be broadband expansion into the North Country. Again, because we own our electric light company, we own our own poles. We're sitting in a good position to take advantage of this, and it would be a great boon for the town. But we know there's a lot of people in this town that work from home using their computers, and sometimes the broadband is not as good as it should be or could be. And this is a move into the future as well. Again, no money being spent. This is being looked into it and come back to you with any of with the results.
Technically, I'm not, as moderator, not supposed to ask a question, but hopefully with your permission, I am going to ask a question on this. I'm curious, why is it so-called broadband? Is it going to really work? I mean, why is it called so-called broadband? It's not just called broadband, it's called so-called.
That's not what it says. It says so-called.
Well, it's a term that everybody uses for high-speed internet. That's the bottom line. And today, we have 5G technology, so that's part of it.
I'm aware of that, but it still says so-called broadband. Okay, Article 21 will appear as written. Article 22 petition warrant article, estimated tax impact 1 cent. To see if the town of Ashland will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to the bridge, for the Bridge House Homeless Shelter and Veterans Advocacy. The Bridge House is a registered 501c3 nonprofit, provides a range of services to all of Grafton County, from community meals to place to shower to help filling out applications for assistance. Bridge House hires prevention specialists to support Grafton County residents by working with them in their homes to avert homelessness. Recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Questions? Article 22 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 23, petition warrant article. It doesn't say what, I guess it should say up there. See if the town of Ashland will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,250 for Transport Central, a 501c3 agency operating in Plymouth, for the purpose of continuing to provide rides for qualified people that have no other means to get to a doctor's appointment or to seek medical treatment. A qualified person is either greater than 60 years old, disabled, or a veteran not otherwise served. Since it started in 2013, Transport Central has been providing this service for any qualified person in Ashland and all other municipalities in our 19-town catchment area. In the last 10 years, Transport Central has provided more than 25,000 rides, while our volunteer drivers have exceeded 1.2 million miles providing trips to citizens in need. Just flip to see. Another service offered by Transport Central is mobility management, where we work with elderly and disabled clients to solve their overall transportation issues. This ranges from helping them reschedule their appointments to finding alternative rides for them, helping them understand how to utilize hospital and agency staff and services more effectively. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 4-1 with, I guess, 1 abstention. Recommended by the Budget Committee 5-1. Any questions on this? Seeing no questions, Article 23 will appear as written. Petition warrant article, estimated tax impact 5 cents. Shall the voters raise and appropriate $12,000 to Grafton County Senior Citizens Council for services for Ashland residents in 2023. From July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, Grafton County Senior Citizens Council provided service for 108 Ashland residents, and ServiceLink provided services for 39 residents. These services included nutrition, transportation, outreach support, ServiceLink support, and more. The cost of providing these services was $122,227.64. Recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by your Budget Committee 6-0. Any questions? Seeing none, Article 24 will appear on the ballot as written. Okay, petition warrant article, estimated tax impact 4 cents. See if the town will raise and appropriate $9,722 to Penny Baker Hospice and Home Health, a non-profit. It provides services without regard to ability to pay and serves many uninsured and underinsured clients. Many of the services amount to fees less than $5 per year per residence, based on the recent census data, and represents a small fraction of the cost of providing services to the residents in their home. Penny Baker provides home health, hospice, and palliative care in the Ashland community, as well as educational programs, workshops, and bereavement counseling. These services to uninsured or underinsured patients help the town limit welfare payments for medical services. Recommended by your Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Questions? Article 25 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 26 is a petition warrant article, estimated tax impact 1 cent. To raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for the fiscal year 2023-24 to support Voices Against Violence, a nonprofit crisis center and shelter providing emergency shelter, court, and hospital accompaniment, and general support to women, men, and children who are victims of domestic and sexual violence, stalking, human trafficking, and bullying. Board of Selectmen recommends this 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Article 26 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 27, tax impact 0. To vote and appropriate total of $1,000 for Katie, Communities for Alcohol and Drug-Free Youth, a nonprofit organization serving Ashland and nearby towns. Katie's work protects children from the harms of substance misuse, prevents juvenile delinquency, breaks the cycle of crime, contains community costs, prevents addiction, and saves lives. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Any questions?
I'm just wondering, on some of these tax impacts that are actually labeled 0, shouldn't it be less than 1 cent? Because there is a tax impact, it's just minor. Just a suggestion.
I had that same question. You're asking for funds, how can there be no tax impact?
The Department of Revenue Administration, who administers these things, unless it comes up to at least 1 cent, we have to list the 0.
It's less than a penny.
A good point. We're still going to pay for it. Okay. Article, I just did 27. That will appear as written. Article 28, a petition warrant article, tax impact 2 cents. To raise and appropriate the sum of $3,876 for the operation of Tri-County Community Action Program service programs in Ashland. Transportation, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless intervention and prevention, disaster relief, Tamworth Dental Center. Is recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0, recommended by your Budget Committee 6-0. Any questions? Article 28 will appear on the ballot as written. All right, petition warrant article number 29. This is a long one. I may skip some of it. Renewable energy options for Ashland residents. Whereas the residents of Ashland are committed to reducing their carbon footprint and supporting environmentally sustainable practices. And whereas the availability of renewable energy options can help residents of Ashland achieve these goals. Therefore, the residents of Ashland request that the town consider the feasibility of allowing residents to purchase renewable energy from suppliers within the town of Ashland. This warrant article proposes that the town of Ashland explore the possibility of implementing a program that would allow residents to purchase renewable energy from local suppliers with the goal of increasing the use of clean renewable energy in the town and supporting local businesses. If it's okay with you, I'm going to sit down and continue to read. Okay. The town would also need to consider any necessary infrastructure changes or updates to accommodate the purchase and distribution of renewable energy to residents. This warrant article does not propose any specific course of action or funding for the proposed program, but rather requests that the town consider the feasibility of such a program and take appropriate steps to implement it if deemed viable. The residents of Ashland believe that the availability of renewable energy options can help the town achieve its sustainability goals, while also supporting local businesses and the local economy. We therefore respectfully request that the town give due consideration to this warrant article and take appropriate action as deemed necessary. This is not recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0.
Questions?
Go ahead.
Joe Mazzoni, it says if deemed viable, who is going to deem whether or not this is viable or not? I mean, is there something like with the other article that it'll come up before the town with all the feasibility studies, and then we'll decide what we want to do? Will it work like that?
Well, this is a petition warrant article. Does anybody who wrote the petition want to address it? I guess not.
I could address it from the Board of Selectmen's position. We did not recommend it. The language is, doesn't do anything. And what it does do is set up I'm going to let that go for now. But just say it doesn't do anything. It's, we don't recommend it.
Why don't you recommend it?
Okay, I guess you could ask that, right? Why don't you recommend it? Because it doesn't do anything. So the whole thing, if deemed viable, doesn't mean anything. So why is it here?
Somebody had 26 signatures, and that's why it's here.
Okay.
Did you want to go to the microphone?
So this, sir, just to further answer your question, you heard earlier that we buy our power from Vermont.
Right.
And it's hydroelectric power, so there's no fossil fuel energy cost to it that gets increasing by time. It's mostly hydro, so we already are pursuing a very cost-effective and energy sustaining source of energy. So we're already doing everything that this article asks. And we're also pursuing, trying to get our hydro back into working on it up here on the Swan River. That's something we're going to be working on into the future.
And now that you brought that up, I mean, is that also going to be a feasibility thing?
Yes, it probably will be.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we'll certainly then have to vote on it.
Absolutely. Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Ma'am, you had your hand up. Did you have a comment?
Hi, my name is Susan Hicks. You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm wondering about solar. What if we propose to put solar on our own homes? And could that get anything back from the electric department?
I have no idea.
I looked into that, and we're not qualified to do that in Ashland for some reason or another. But you want to put solar in your home, you can do that. You don't need the town's permission to do it.
But you can't sell it back? Yeah, that's it, you can't sell it.
The legislature passed an omnibus bill dealing with solar and other energies of that nature, like wind energy. It has exempted the ability of municipal lighting departments to, in fact, venture into that area. That's reserved solely for private power companies. But you can have it on your own home. You just can't sell the surplus energy back to the town because it's not allowed by law.
So I could use it myself?
Oh, you certainly can, and I would encourage you to do that. Electricity is going to become extremely expensive in the next 20 years.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to go to the microphone, please? Sorry to make you do that, but that's for everybody to hear.
Linda Barnes, and I guess my question is part of our discussion whether or not to have this appear on the March ballot? In other words, is that a vote we're taking, or are we just reviewing so we know what it means?
I believe that you're just reviewing this. I mean, they're not asking for funds or,
Can't get rid of it.
it's petitioned because they had enough signatures. Is it 26 or 25? Is why it's on the ballot. Any other? Alice?
I'm curious as to how is this warrant article different than the warrant article for the trash burning facility study? Because that's just asking to look at whether it's feasible or not. So this seems to me similar to that. And so why wouldn't the selectmen recommend this? Because they're recommending the other study.
The town of Ashland is already doing that. We're already buying power that's generated by hydroelectric. So we're already pursuing those types of things. And we're also pursuing an energy plan, which would also be sustainable. So yes, we're doing that. This doesn't do anything. It doesn't ask you to do anything.
Okay.
It doesn't require us, I should say, it doesn't require us to do it.
Says we respectfully requested the town give due consideration to this warrant and take appropriate action as deemed necessary. So they're asking you to give due consideration to this warrant.
We gave it consideration.
And then chose not to recommend it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Dan?
Hi, Daniel Vaughn. Unless things have changed from when I was elected commissioner, the electricity that was purchased in the town, by the town from Vermont Electric Power Authority is not 100% hydro. It's a combination of nuclear, fossil burning, and hydro. I don't know. I think the percentage of hydropower was only about 30%. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's not 100% hydropower, as you would say.
Thank you for that.
Well, I would just say that because of the cost that we pay for that power and the cost of what it costs you as Ashland residents to purchase that power for your homes, shows that it is very inexpensive in comparison to any other powers that are carbon related. So it's mostly hydro. There is some nuclear. I think they're closing down their nuclear plants up there. It's been primarily in the last few years has been hydro.
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions? Article 29 will appear on the ballot as written. Article 30 is a petition warrant article. I'm sitting down for this one. Not based on content, it's just long. We, the town of Ashland, hereby call upon our state and federal elected representatives to enact carbon pricing legislation to protect New Hampshire from the costs and environmental risk of continued climate inaction. To protect households, we support a carbon fee and dividend approach that charges fossil fuel producers for their carbon pollution and rebates the money collected to all residents on an equal basis. Enacting a carbon cashback program decreases long-term fossil fuel dependence, aids in the economic transition for energy consumers, and keeps local energy dollars in New Hampshire's economy. Carbon cashback has been championed by U.S. economists as the most effective and fair way to deliver rapid reductions. I'm gonna skip some of this because they're asking for the federal government to make a statement. We're the town of Ashland. We're not the federal government, but I'll read. We expect our representatives to lead in this critical moment for the health and well-being of our citizens and the protection of New Hampshire's natural resources. The record of the vote approving this article shall be transmitted by written notice to Ashland's state legislatures, to the governor of New Hampshire, to Ashland's congressional delegation, and to the President of the United States, informing them of the instructions from their constituent by Ashland Select Board within 30 days of this vote. Not recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. I have something to say, if you're okay with me speaking without coming to the microphone there. This is a petition warrant article, so once again, citizens have the right to petition a warrant article. Patsy checks to make sure they're, qualified voters here. Right up the first sentence, they're asking our state and federal elected representatives to do something. That's not what we vote on in March. We're voting for town issues. That's my only input I have on this particular article. Does anybody else have any? That's just something that was glaring to me. Anybody else have any comments? Amanda?
If I may, Madam Moderator, I respectfully disagree with you because it asks the town of Ashland to call upon state and federal elected, which means that it's asking, and I'm not pro or con this warrant, I'm just trying to make sure that I think I'm clear on what it's saying. It's asking that we ask our Board of Selectmen, who are duly elected representatives, to call upon the state and federal.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
and it also says if this passes within 30 days, we're sending a letter to the President of the United States.
Passage of this would increase your energy bills. It's like you're sending people down to Congress to enact a new tax. And this money would be used by those who are not controlled by us to control that money and the rates of that money. I'm just very, very concerned about how this is. It's been a former member of the legislature for 14 years. This sort of thing came before us many, many times, and we always do away with it because you just don't do that. You don't write letters to the President of the United States telling you want to increase the tax on something. That's my personal opinion. It's not the board's opinion.
And my opinion was my personal opinion also. Any other comments?
Hi, is the person or persons that proposed this here warrant are they here to explain it?
I have no idea who they are. Is anybody who signed this willing to talk about it?
Hey, don't crack
Apparently not.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Patsy?
Well, I just wanted, I don't know who wrote it either, but just remember, even if I signed it, which I didn't, but anyway, if I signed it, it just means that I want it to go forward. Doesn't mean I actually agree with it or anything, but just to let you know about signing a petition warrant out.
Which is a good comment. Lots of people, myself included, I will sign a petition warrant article to let the people, if they get enough signatures, to let the people in March decide whether I agree with whatever the subject is or not. Okay, Article 30 will appear as written. Article 31, yes. Sorry, we're still on Article 30.
Hooray. I'm not going to speak to any particular warrant article in here, but as these warrant articles exist, as we go forward, the verbiage in these is very elusive to a lot of people. You know, no tax impact. There's a tax impact to everything we do, whether it's a penny, a nickel, a dime, or a dollar. And to put that verbiage, I've always had a problem with this, and today it's got me a little riled up about no tax impact. I think that verbiage should come out of that warrant article and stuff. And I'm sure Mr. Letourneau is going to tell me that it's required by law.
We voted.
tell you that.
Okay, but the
I'll
fact that.
explain it to you.
Okay, that I would like the explanation. But, and I would like to say that anybody that petitions an article, petitions a warrant article, be required to represent that article at the town, at the deliberative session, so that we all understand what the motivation was behind it. You know, if you look at these two articles that, you know, pertain to this or other articles, they're written by the same group of people who have an agenda, which I appreciate, but that doesn't mean we understand it. And when the average voter goes in, who's not sitting in this deliberative session, goes into the booth, they have no idea what's the format or the motivation is for it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Tasha, to answer your question, and I'm not trying to, I appreciate it. Oh. Going on? Am I on? No. Battery went dead. Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
So what the no tax impact means that it's not going to be an impact on your property tax.
Correct.
That's all that means.
I understand that.
It's not something that's no tax impact, because some of those monies may have been taxed before and put into reserve funds, and now you use it for something else. You know, you're using it for the purpose they were intended. But there's no tax impact in your next tax bill. That's all that means.
Correct, and then it should be defined somehow. That obviously, when we vote for the electric, the water department, fire, whatever like that, there should be some kind of a note that says, you know, there's no, if you're gonna use the word no tax impact, explain that to the people a little bit better. No tax impact to your property tax. It's costing everybody in this room is getting an electric bill. So, and people walk into the booth, they go, even the renters in town, the renter in town pays an increased rental, monthly rental, because the owner of the building just got a large bill for an electric increase. You know, it's just very convoluted the way these things are written. They're not clear. They've never been clear. You know, it's just.
Well, they have to be written in legal language too.
So, I'm gonna make the assumption that the town attorney goes through all these petitions to make sure they are legal. Correct?
Correct, that is correct.
All right, so don't tell me it's not legal.
Oh, and the other one.
No ways goes.
Okay.
Madam Moderator, maybe to further answer the question.
Yeah.
The town meeting voted to require this verbiage to be put on the warrant. There are lots of things like your electric bill, for instance. Part of your electric bill goes to decrease your property taxes. And the town has voted that as well. If we would have put all those conditions on the warrant articles, these articles would probably be 10 or 15 pages longer to explain all the individual items. The legislature laid this material out the way it is in the statute. It allows the town to accept this verbiage. That's all we can put on because that's all we're authorized to put on. So I don't disagree with you that people don't understand what that's about. But where it says no tax impact, that means that we're not going to put 1 cent on the tax rate for your particular property tax bill in the town of Ashland. Nothing will appear for that cost.
Let me back up just a second. How does the electric bill come off of my property tax bill? What is that money? Explain that to me, what you just said.
We pay for all the street lights in town through the electric light department.
Yep.
All the flashing lights and so forth.
Yep.
Every other town pays for that off the tax rates.
Okay.
Okay? There are a lot of things that these utility departments pay for, and in other towns, they don't, because they're part of the tax rate itself. The town has voted over the years to remove those things off the tax rate, so you get some benefit from it. After all, you're the owner, for instance, of all these utilities.
Correct.
The amount of profit they make, which is small, goes to pay for those things, so you don't have to pay for them out of your taxes.
Still paying for it, though.
You're paying for it, but you're not paying for it twice. If you lived in the next town over, okay?
I don't care about the next town over.
Well,
okay?
but the reality is that if you did live in another town, didn't have municipal light plan, you'd be paying a huge rate for your streetlights.
Of which we're supporting that department, okay? So the money's still coming. So if I pay my light bill and we have an electric department, we're paying for it.
Now, you're paying for it, but you're also paying electric costs for it, this is municipal, so we get big discounts, okay?
Right.
We took that off the tax rate.
Yeah.
So that you wouldn't be paying more money on your taxes.
I understand what you're telling me, but we own the entity.
I understand
We own
that.
the utility. End of the
My
conversation.
comment was based on the fact that you want an explanation of what that particular definition means, okay? That would be a long definition, because there are a lot of things the town has voted to do, which would interfere with the tax impact as defined by the legislature. They gave us a very narrow window of opportunity to do something. The town voted to accept that, so that's what we're doing.
I'm gonna take your explanation off the lid and turn it into an hour-long conversation about taxes and utilities. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you. Any other comments on Article 30? Go to the microphone, please.
Hi, Devin Tebow. First, I want to clarify something that Bob said when he said that about if they add a carbon fee, we will end up paying for it, because no business has ever had their expenses increase and taken it out of their profit margin. They always pass that on to their consumers. Secondly, this in the previous article, as has been pointed out, were probably written by the same individuals, and where they're talking about, where they're pushing to us to buy renewable energy from a local source. There's only a limited number of local sources that generate that kind of electricity, and there's a way in which it feels like they are trying to strong-arm the town and the Board of Selectmen into buying electricity from them.
Thank you for your input. Any other? Article 30 will appear on the warrant as written. Article 31. I don't know where to stand in this. Petition warrant article. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. To see if the town shall vote to rescind its approval of Article 25 of the 2022 town meeting to purchase the former elementary school at 41 School Street, Ashland, New Hampshire, from Tri-County CAP. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 5-0. And do people have, I'm assuming Alice will speak to this?
I'd like to make a motion to amend Article 31.
Okay, do you have it written out?
Yes.
Okay. You want to read your motion, and I'll ask for a second.
To see if the town shall vote to affirm Article 25 of the 2022 town meeting to purchase the former elementary school building at 41 School Street, Ashland, New Hampshire, from Tri-County CAP.
I will not ask for a second because that inherently completely changes the meaning of this petition warrant. Or you can make amendments to petition warrant articles, but that completely, this is to rescind it, and you're asking for it to go ahead. So I can't, if the lawyer wants to chime in on this, hello?
Yeah.
I can't accept that because it completely, there's laws that if it completely changes the intent, and I would believe, if I read that, I'm not a lawyer, The intent of this petition is to rescind the approval of Article 25. That's totally different. Yes, I'm asking you. Yes, I'm asking you.
Yeah, the only restriction is that you can't change the meaning of the warrant article.
Her motion changes the.
Meaning.
It is the opposite.
So your motion, it would be the absolute opposite of the way it stands out.
The attorney for the library trustees is here, and I'd like to ask permission that he be able to speak.
Can I have a copy of what you wrote? Thank you.
Okay, non-voters are not supposed to be able to speak without my permission. I'm going to ask the audience, and then I'm also going to let you know the Court of Appeals also holds, just, I'm assuming you're the town attorney and we need your name if the audience. Library attorney, sorry, misspoke. Court of Appeals has held that the town meeting, which this is a legislative proceeding and it's not a public forum for free speech. This is a very important legislation. So I'm going to ask everyone in the audience that is a registered voter. I have the authority to say yes or no, but I've always, and since I've been moderator, I always turn it to the people. Does everyone, what is your name, sir?
My name is Chris Bolt.
Okay.
I'm a partner at Donahue Tucker Chandela down in Meriden.
Okay. Do the residents want Chris Bolt to speak to the library issue today? Those in favor, raise your cards. Those opposed, raise your cards.
Do you want me to count?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to count. All right, everybody in favor?
I don't think you should be doing the counting. Sorry, I don't think the lawyer should be doing the counting.
Just double checking, ma'am. No worries.
All right, everybody down. And then those opposed, raise your cards, please.
Ayes have it.
All right. So the yeses have it, and you can speak for a limited time.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, members of the community. Again, my name is Chris Bolt of Donahue Tucker Chandela, and I represent the library trustees and have since the initial vote. They came to me later to prepare the P&S, the purchase and sale agreement for this purchase. To speak to the exact question, Madam Moderator, you're incorrect based on the Supreme Court's decision of Katie versus Deerfield, which came down 2 years ago with the court. Harriet Katie had a petition warrant article, two of them, to say that the police chief and the welfare officer should be elected rather than appointed. The deliberative session in Deerfield changed that to say we want to appoint them as we have been. So that was a change of the intent, not, and that's what Ms. Katie brought to the court. The trial court and the Supreme Court agreed with the town that that was not an illegal change. It expressly said the statute does not speak to intent, it speaks to the subject matter. The subject matter is the same. It's whether or not the vote of last year is to be changed. That is the subject matter. The law, in fact, after initial proceeding, the law was potentially going to change by a House bill that failed, that would have said a petition warrant article can't be changed, either to eliminate its subject or to change the intent. That bill failed. Accordingly, the Katie v. Deerfield case, and I have a copy here, and your lawyer has it also, expressly says that this amendment is legitimate. It is for the people at the deliberative session to say whether or not they want the amendment to pass. You, as board members, can make the vote for yourselves that you don't want that to pass. But the body gets the choice. The other thing I have to say is in New Hampshire, there is in each contract, such as the signed purchase and sale agreement that, Mr. Chairman, you signed after much negotiation with the library trustees and TCAP, a concept of good faith and fair dealing. That means if this were to pass, and if the warrant article as you have put it forward, if this were to pass, you could be subjecting the town and the selectmen individually to liability in a breach of contract and breach of good faith and fair dealing lawsuit, whether by TCAP or others. It is one that I warn you about. We negotiated in good faith. The selectmen signed the PNS to have this come forward. I think a court will take a dim view of it. I ask that the amendment be allowed to go forward and hopefully will pass. I'm happy to answer any questions from the moderator or others, or your town council.
I'm going to refer to our town attorney.
And I'm not going to speak to Attorney Bolt's interpretations of the contractual piece of it. I can quote this one piece, because I'm not sure I disagree with you, but in Katie, it says, for these reasons, we conclude that RSA 4013 4C prohibits only amendments that eliminate a warrant article's textual subject matter, not amendments that may change the intent or purpose sought to be achieved by the article's drafters. Is your position then that this doesn't change in a way that's prohibited by Katie? It merely is the flip side of the same question, and so the same question is presented, should it be rescinded or not?
Correct. It's the same type of issue as in Katie. Ms. Katie's warrant articles, where we're going to elect these two positions, and their salary can only be changed by the taxpayers voting. The amendment came through. We are going to appoint this position as we always have, completely different in intent. But the court said that is a legitimate amendment under the state of the law.
Because the question is essentially the same.
What are we going to do about this vote that happened last year?
And I have to say, I don't disagree with counsel, and I take your point, and I think it's valid.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a second? Can you get, Alice, we need the amendment up here.
I
So
gave it to you. You have it.
Oh, you have it. You have the amendment. Pass it. Hold on, I got a lot of people talking at once.
Can't hear her. I can't hear her.
You gotta go back to the, I called for a second, now I have to, I need the motion. You walked away with the motion.
It's already been changed, so she's just gonna reread it.
And there's gonna be discussion after the first and second, it's not. Amendment to Article 31, to see if the town shall vote to affirm Article 25 of the 2022 town meeting to purchase the former elementary school building at 41 School Street, Ashland, New Hampshire, from Tri-County Cat. So that is the motion, and it's seconded. Now, we have continued discussion on this.
Where is it going to read? How is it going
Do you want to talk and say your name, like everybody?
My name is Jeanette Stewart, and I want to know, how is it going to read? You know, the people did this. They signed this petition to be a warrant article, and it says to rescind it. The people are saying, we don't want it. We want it to, you know, to go away. We don't want it. We don't want to buy it. And now with this amendment, it's saying they want to keep it. So I don't think that's fair to the people. I think you're being very, you're just not being fair. I don't think you are doing what the people that signed for the warrant article. I don't think you're doing what they're asking you to do. I think you're totally changing it.
Thank you.
There's one change of one word. It changes rescind to affirm. I was explaining what the change is so that you understood.
To me, that changes the intent. Well, you say there's a...
Okay, I'm just going to chime in a little bit here. First of all, Attorney Bolt, I don't appreciate you coming here and threatening the town with lawsuits. Your language is very, very rough. So. Number two, we've heard a lot today about giving people the right to choose and vote on these warrant articles, and now you take it away, this warrant article, for the people to choose on it. I'm just going to say that and let it lie at that.
Fran, did you want to go to the...
Yes, I respectfully disagree with that, and I respectfully disagree with Ms. Stewart, because people still have the right to vote. When we go to the polls in March, if you don't like the amendment, you can vote it against it, and you still have your word, and the people who put together this original petition can now vote against the one that was now changed legitimately.
I'm going to entertain a motion, because this is a very heated issue on all sides. And we're well legaled up here today, and we've been threatened. So I'm going to entertain a motion to have this particular amendment, changing the wording to affirm, done by secret ballot. Do I have is someone willing to make that motion?
So moved. I'll second it.
All right, we're having a motion has been made and seconded to have this particular amendment voted on today by secret ballot. And discussion, Rick?
Two things, whether I'm for or against it does not matter. When I voted last year, it was my understanding that by December 31st of 2022, that we had to engage or disengage this purchase. 23, excuse me. So, no, it was for
23.
2023. So it was by 23. By 22.
The end of 2023.
Regardless of the date. So these people who voted to rescind it, okay, have that right to vote. It was always my understanding, and I was a trustee also, that you couldn't change the intent, you could only change the dollar value of it. If the other side of the street wanted to have an additional petition on the warrant article, I'm believing they had enough notice or time or acknowledge that this was gonna be in the warrant article. They should have had a petition formally submitted to offset it, as opposed to a secret ballot of whatever, 50, 45 people in the room. The intent of the original petition needs to stand, regardless of what the two lawyers say.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Then
yes.
your clarification is the subject can't change. And so whether the town wants to vote to accept the amendment or not is really the question. If they don't want to change it, to flip it, they can vote no, and if the question is to do it in a secret ballot or not, that's the question that's here. But I think what the issue is whether under Katie's, the subject matter is changing. The subject matter is staying the same with the amendment, it's just the alternative. And that would be the analysis, and I think I was.
So what you have just said to this room is that basically we're making a decision. No, let me rephrase that. You're saying the original petition article can be changed by this room here now, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, as long as the subject
Yes,
remains.
okay, so that would be a legal matter in my mind. So I would think the petition would need to stay. I think an additional petition may be arranged, but I don't know if they have 26 people in the room to change that right now.
So you can
Too late.
vote not to change it, if that's the vote you want. If I understand, there's been an amendment, a proposed amendment, it's been seconded. There's a question now as to whether to accept that amendment or not, and you're arguing, as I understand it, not to. And then
No.
there's a
My
question-
point is you're asking this room, okay, to change something, which 26 people obviously have voted to put in the petition article. We couldn't change anything else in this petition article, in this warrant article. Why can we be allowed to change this?
So to be clear, I'm not asking you to do anything.
No, I know you're
mean,
not.
you certainly can vote no.
I'm just trying to clear up the
I'm
cloud
just-
in the room.
Yeah, and the question, I think, was on what that case in Katie says, and the bottom line of it was, you can't change the subject of the petition warrant article, and I think the question was, does the petition article.
But you aren't changing.
Well, you're changing the.
Change is a change.
But you can vote no. I mean, I can't tell you how to vote, and I'm not taking either side of this. I'm just looking, I went back and looked at the language of that case as we were talking, and I agree with the analysis of the case as to whether it's proper to propose an amendment.
And that's what you two people do for a living. You come to the middle of something. You
No,
can't
I
expect
think
this room to understand a law that was passed 2 years ago and make a decision based on that. If I don't understand what Katie is, who she is, what it is,
Okay.
how it operates,
I think
how
the
can I
question is
constantly?
whether or not they could make that move to propose that amendment. You still, as a room, can vote to say, no, we don't want to amend the warrant article, and it would stay. Or if the majority of the room wants to amend the, it's just whether that is a proper vote to be taken.
Correct,
Yes.
right there.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt because we could go on with this issue for, there's a motion and there's a second to have, I hate to take up your time, but this is a volatile issue unless you want to rescind your motion for a secret ballot. We're going to have a secret ballot. Kendall's not rescinding it, so, Kendall, So we are going to have a secret ballot to see if the town, we're having a secret ballot on this amendment to Article 31, to see if the town shall vote to affirm Article 25 of the 2022 town meeting to purchase the former elementary school. So should I'll look at the board, should I explain what a yes vote means and what a no?
Yes. Exactly.
Because frankly, I'm confused. So if you vote yes in the secret ballot, if you vote yes, and correct me if I'm incorrect, if you vote yes on this amendment, you're saying yes to the change, that you're changing the word to affirm. So that Article 31 would, if you vote yes, you're saying you want it to say shall vote to affirm the approval of Article 25. If you vote no, you're saying no, you want it to say the way it is in the what we're all looking at. Is that, okay, I've explained the yes and the no, is it because it can get very confusing? Does everybody understand? Okay. Okay.
So if everybody can just kind of sit for a second until I tell you to go. 'Cause I gotta do we have a box? Okay.
We're going to be doing the voting now, and so potty break, whatever. We're going to resume our meeting now. Thank you all for participating in the, what is it, silent vote? Secret ballot. I think that was, yeah, silent. No. All right, we are addressing petition Article 31. What we just voted on was Alice Staples' amendment to Article 31. To see if the town shall vote to affirm Article 25 of the 2022 town meeting to purchase the former elementary school building at 41 School Street, Ashland, New Hampshire, from Tri-County CAP. I had this quadruple checked. 2 people checked yeses and nos, and then they reversed the yeses and nos, so they were double checked. Then I had 2 other people, all Ashland voters, count again. The amendment failed. 32 no's, which, please correct me if I'm wrong, no means it stays the way it's presented. Yes would mean it goes to, we change the word to affirm. Correct? Correct? That's what we all thought we were voting on. There was 23 yeses, 32 no's, and 1 person went in and turned in a blank ballot. So there's the count. So that means Article 31 will remain the way it was petitioned, to see if town shall vote to rescind its approval of Article 25. Now, remember, there's more library issues coming. Isn't there? Oh, no, there's not. There's not. Is there any further discussion on? Yes, sir.
I'm not about to change anything that Chris has put on it, but, so anyway.
You gotta speak up to the.
Last time I.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry.
I don't think it's on. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
All right, I'll get closer. So I really wanted to start dialogue on this article by specifically asking the selectmen individually a response
why did you recommend this, this petition? Why? Answer, individual, one at a time.
I'll start. It was a petition article by the citizens of Ashland, voting citizens of Ashland, and I think they have a right to have their position. So I'm assuming we all voted for that reason.
Don't assume.
I voted for the same thing, yeah.
Because? Why?
Honestly, I don't want to have my taxes go up when we have to do a bunch of renovations to the building.
I voted for the same reason, give the voter an opportunity to voice their vote, whatever it is. Our recommendation, as far as I'm concerned, is not a yes or a no vote.
I don't want to see my taxes go up. I'm afraid they will with this building, and I do want the voters to have a vote.
Did that answer your question?
Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I didn't need their response of how they feel about whether it should go through and affect.
Well, they're telling you why they.
Well, yeah, but the proper answer would be is that there was a petition put in by 26 people, and that they got to support the petition as written. Period.
Okay. To me, that's
what a couple said.
Okay. All right. Well, it was their words, so they were speaking. Amanda?
I don't want my tax bill going up either. No one, please correct me if I'm wrong, but as I look at the current Board of Selectmen, I don't think any of you were on the board the last time they got sued. Am I correct on that? And, well, Alan Silly's chuckling. You were? How much did that cost us, that last litigation that came?
Excuse me, this is way off course.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm ruling that this is off course. This is off course. We are talking about Article 31. The people have spoken. It stays the way it is.
Yes, and I'm
asking for a motion to table the discussion on Article 31. Do I have a second?
I have a question. No. Somebody seconded it.
I have a question.
Yes. Bill seconded it.
There's a motion on the floor. You can't ask your question until the motion on the floor is done. You can ask your question during discussion on this motion. It was second. You asked. Made a motion. Sue Harville seconded. All those in favor of tabling the discussion on Article 31 only, please raise your red card signifying yes. You counting? You didn't vote. Okay, all those opposed to tabling discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not blocking.
Aye vote. Is that what you counted? Yeah. 25 to table. Okay, we're tabling it, but you already had your hand up and I recognized it.
Thank you, Bonnie.
You can come up.
My name's Paul Hinks, I live on River Street. The only question I have is, this went up for the voters a year ago. The majority of the voters that voted to look into purchasing the library. And I stopped up at the town hall on Monday to see what the job duties were for selectmen. And the very first couple lines actually say that they're supposed to follow the wishes of the voters. They voted to proceed with this library, and I'm gonna steal a line from Tony. We the people voted a year ago to follow through on this. To even put this article in here, I think shouldn't even be there.
Well, I understand and appreciate what you're saying. It is in here. It got enough signatures. It's been tabled for discussion, and that we have to move forward.
That's my thought.
I really appreciate the comments from everybody. Article 32, petition warrant article, estimated tax impact 1 cent, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of, hello, we're still discussing, we're still having a meeting here. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be deposited into the account of the Ashland Historical Society for the purpose of maintenance and repairs of the Whipple House owned by the town of Ashland. Selectmen recommended at 5-0, recommended by Budget Committee 6-0. Any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I wonder why we bother voting if our vote can just be overturned and ignored.
Because that's the law, and this doesn't have anything to do with the Whipple House. Excuse me. Anybody have any other relevant questions? Rick?
I would like to, I'd like to take that $2,000 and add to it, because I don't think $2,000 in this day and age goes anywhere. And that's a building that we've accepted the responsibility to maintain. So I'd like to make a motion that we raise that to at least $3,000.
At least, or 3,000?
3,000.
3,000, I need to have you write that down.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to change the amount in Article 32 for the Ashland Historical Society from 2,000 to 3,000. Do I have a second? Okay, this is a motion to change the amount in Article 32 from 2,000 to up it to 3,000. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. You're correct. I'm getting tired. Sorry. Any discussion on this particular warrant article?
We, the board, approved the $2,000 because this is what they asked for. Maybe David could tell us more about it if there was some reason why we want to increase this.
It wasn't his motion.
No, I know, but you're
What?
the historical society. You don't want to request this money.
Currently, we have a project which is replacing the floor joists on the first floor, half of the first floor, a project that will cost a total of $8,000. So we're planning to use the $2,000 for that. We have already spent in last year, we got $2,000 last year, and part of that went to pay the down payment, the half payment on that. So it was $4,000 in 2022 and $4,000 in 2023. So we could use the money to pay for that floor joist project, and there's another plaster ceiling being repaired in the upper story of the Whipple House, which is going to be $1,250. So we could in fact spend $3,000, but that was not the original intent of the board of directors of the Historical Society. So I can't really speak for them, but we could use the money. We could spend it. That's really all I can say.
I'm vice chairman of the Historical Society, and I just want to say it's a museum and it's an older building. And there is always something that we have to do to it for repairs. If it isn't painting, it's the windows, it's something. So, Rick, I want to thank you for making that motion, because we can always use that. The Whipple House is always something that needs to be done.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, I have a motion on the floor for Article 32 to increase the amount from 2,000 to 3,000. Get ready to count. No, get ready to count. Oh, I'll just try a voice. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no? No. Okay, the ayes have it. So Article 32 will now read, the dollar figure will now be adjusted to $3,000. And that will affect the tax rate. I imagine that if 2,000, I don't know how they do that, so that's up to them. Article 33, petition warrant article. First article, accept Title V taxation property taxes 7228 for $750. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I have a motion to amend Article 33. I move to amend Article 33 by deleting all of the petition article and substitute the following. Shall the town of Ashland vote to change the optional veterans tax credit from $250 to $750 in accordance with the provisions of RSA 72:27-a and 72:28. And the reason for this is it's a legal rewriting of it, so it's legal what we do. And it really does the same thing. It doesn't change what the article wants to do, but it puts it in legal right. Thank you.
I have a motion to amend. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And the motion to, and this was discussed, by the way, for those of you that were not at the public hearing, the way it is now, it's just, they're asked for $750, and they're not saying, well, what's it for? To buy light bulbs, to whatever. So this does clarify. So the motion on the floor is, I move to amend the article by deleting all of the petition article, and now the article will read, shall the town of Ashland vote to change the optional veterans tax credit from $250 to $750 in accordance with the provisions of RSA 72:27A and 72:28. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. So the Article 33 will now read as amended.
Yes.
Article 33 will now read, shall the town of Ashland vote to change the optional veterans tax credit from $250 to $750 in accordance with the provisions of the two RSAs? And so that's been amended. Do you have that?
I'm all set.
You have it? Okay. Article 33 will appear on the ballot as amended and voted on. Article 34, petition warrant article. To see if the town of Ashland shall vote to unconditionally, completely, and absolutely discontinue an unmaintained Class 6 town road known as Parkway, formerly known as Hill Street, the road pursuant to New Hampshire Revised Statutes. The road to be discontinued is described as follows, and they give the whole legal description. Upon the discontinuance of the road under the terms of this article, the voters hereby authorize and direct the selectmen to relinquish the town's interest in the land under the road, whether by deed or other recorded instrument, and to the abutting property owners, L.W. Packard and Commerce Properties, LLC, or their designees. This is recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0. Does anybody have any comments?
I have an amendment.
And to Mr. Letourneau for an amendment.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move to amend Article 34 by deleting all of the article, wait a minute, wrong one. I move to amend Article 33 by deleting all of the petition articles substitute. I was right the first time. Maybe I should put my glasses on.
I think that's a good idea.
Sorry about that. I apologize to the board and to the body. I move to amend Article 34 by deleting all of the article after the period following the words Depot Street in line 8 of the article. So if you're looking at your articles on the paper, it starts at line 7. It says with the right-of-way of Depot Street, and everything after that will be deleted. And the reason for that is the attorneys have said that on the third line, whether by deed or other recorded instrument, is misleading and unnecessary. So most of the language for deleted is unnecessary and shouldn't be there. Thank you.
I have a question.
Do I have a second on the motion first?
I'll second that.
Okay. Did you get time? Okay, now, discussion, ma'am.
So if it's no longer a town road, Susan Hicks, if it's no longer a town road, then someone has to be paying taxes upon it?
Yes. Yep.
And is that assumed by W.L. Packard and Commerce Properties?
That'd be correct.
Okay, thank you.
We gotta get our taxes. Good question. Any other questions? Seeing no questions, the petition warrant article 34 will. Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Give me the amendment. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It's been a long day.
Now, Article 34 will read, to see if the town of Ashland will vote to unconditionally, completely, and absolutely discontinue an unmaintained Class 6 town road known as Parkway, formerly known as Hill Street, the road, pursuant to New Hampshire Revised Statute annotated 231:43. The road to be discontinued is described as follows: a 2-lane road of approximately 228 feet in length, beginning at the intersection of the road with the right-of-way of Mill Street and ending at the intersection of the road with the right-of-way of Depot Street, period. Everything forward from that has been deleted by the motion. All those in favor of this amended warrant article, please signify by saying yes. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. And Article 34 will be on the warrant as amended. And I thank you for your participation. All right, I thought that was the last warrant article.
It is the last warrant article, but there is further discussion that needs to be had about this so people understand
Oh, okay.
a little bit of the history about the road.
Okay.
My name's Anthony Randall. I'm a licensed surveyor. I am working for L.W. Packard, and I researched this road, which was laid out in 1869. It was petitioned in October of 1869, and was actually laid out by the selectmen of the town in November of 1869. Old roads of this vintage are just easement situations only, not fee takings. So the town never ever had a fee interest into the road, which means they did not own the soil under the road. These easement situations are produced for public rights to be able to travel on the public way with the town maintaining it for public travel. The history of this is that the layout started at the junction of Pleasant Street and Hill Street and ran from there all the way down through the mill complex, across the street, across Depot Street, and up to Winona Road. That section of the road from Mechanic Street, where it intersects with Hill Street, through the mill complex to Mill Street, was discontinued in 1988. So that portion of the road at that point in time, the town decided to give it up because it just doesn't make sense for the public to be traveling through commercial properties. The next section is the park, they call it Parkway today. It was all part of that original layout. That's the portion that we'd like to see discontinued. And the reason for that is that it's not a viable part of the infrastructure for the road systems of the town of Ashland. The town hasn't maintained this road, well, as Mark Over, the former road agent, said the last time we had an article on this, in the 38 years that he was the road agent, they never did any maintenance on the road. And any plowing or anything that took place was always done by the mill. So that prompted this thing about having the road discontinued. At the end of the day, what will happen is the boundary lines will go to the middle of the road, and the public rights will extinguish at that point, and we'll be able to tax the people on the property under the road again. I think it's, and you know, we get into this no tax impact stuff. Well, there is a tax impact here, but it's to the positive. We actually get to get some money for the land under the road where we didn't before. So certainly if anybody has any questions about the road discontinuances, the layouts, call me. I'll be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about it. It's very simple when you put it down on paper and go through the process of how it was taken. And certainly I could discuss the RSAs that govern discontinuances of roads, should anybody want to discuss that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Good job. Do I have a motion to adjourn? The second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Thank you.